We're down to the Final Four of March Madness. We're going to break down both of these games and talk national championship up next on Bet on It. Kelly in Vegas here. Marco D'Angelo front and center. Gianni the Greek in a 49ers hat, even though it's not football season. We're going to get right into March Madness. We're down to the final four teams. Instead of kind of giving you guys the best bet for these games, I just wanted to break them down round table style, as well as give you our national champion. Of course, we're going to discuss my splash conundrum and see what I'm going to do with my remaining entry. And I wanted to see some futures odds. VR, I'm going to ask you about a couple of these, but let's get into both of these games first and foremost. Illinois off a nice win over Iowa. Iowa looked good in the first half, and well, then that's what happens to Cinderella. She goes to die at halftime, and now they face a Connecticut team that did the exact opposite. This was top 5 basketball game that I probably ever got to watch. Duke laying 4.5, up I think as high as 19 at one point. Here comes Connecticut, wins on a buzzer beater 3. Now these two face each other. This one's come down a little bit. Lots of 2s available on the odds logic screen. Marco D'Angelo, I'm going to go to you first. Help me break down Illinois versus UConn.
Well, first of all, Kelly, top 5 of all time wasn't for me because I had the Duke side. That was the only play that we lost last week as a 4 or 5% play. And I was counting my money, at halftime, as Duke absolutely dominated that game. Connecticut, at one point in that game, Kelly, was just 1 of 18 from 3. And then they started that miraculous comeback. But, when you look at this one and break it down, the first thing that stands out is the fact that you have Connecticut as a number 2 seed and you have Illinois as a number 3 seed, but yet the number 3 seed is the favorite. And I've always told you on these shows, whether it's football or it's basketball, I give more respect to the guys here in Vegas that sets the numbers, that actually take money on games, rather than somebody that's setting rankings or seedings that's sitting in a boardroom just watching the games. These guys don't bet. They don't understand strengths and weaknesses. So I'm going to respect the fact that Illinois is the favorite in this game. And then if you look back, these two met this year. It was early November, and it was in a neutral site. It was a holiday tournament right around Thanksgiving. And UConn was a 4.5-point favorite in that game, and they won the game 74-61. Coming into the season, both teams were in the top 25. UConn was in the top 10. Illinois, I think, was maybe 17th or 18th in the polls at the beginning of the season. So clearly Illinois has, exceeded expectations this year, and especially getting to the Final Four for the first time. I got to ask again, if Connecticut won the head-to-head meeting, why such the change? And Illinois is just playing better basketball right now. Connecticut, you can look at it one of 2 ways. That was a heroic comeback last week, and they're going to have momentum and ride it. That's, maybe they're the team of destiny this year. They have won 2 of the last 3 national championships. Or did that take everything out of them with that monster comeback? I like Illinois. I like their bigs. Connecticut, we saw when they went cold from 3. They weren't getting a lot of offensive rebounds. They're not going to get offensive rebounds against the size of Illinois. I'm going to go ahead and look at Illinois. They're 28-8 on the season. But if you look at those 8 losses, 6 of those 8 losses came by 4 points or less, and 4 of those games were in overtime. That means basically every game but 2 this year, they either won or was right in until the final gun. This is a team that's got a lot of experience in tight games. I'll go ahead, go Illinois. Let's ride them, see them in the championship game on Monday.
All right, VR, I need you to make a case for the dog here because Marco just made a compelling case for Illinois. I will say this, both teams, one of the lowest, both in the 300s, in fact, on KenPom for not only adjusted tempo, but for pace and style of their possession length. I mean, this looks like a case for a dead on under as well, under 139.5. And as I said about the Alabama game last week, it looks so easy to bet the over. This looks so easy to bet the under. Can I get you to jump on the dog or the over here?
Well, let me set the stage first and foremost as we sit here in March Madness. First, tell you when I win, tell you when I lose. College basketball, used the same approach as college football. It worked out well for me, was in the top 3 the entire season. As of right now, heading into the Final Four, I'm up a little over 41 units with a 3.3% ROI. With that said, March Madness started well, but the Elite Eight Week 16 did not go my way. In fact, as of today, I'm exactly 2 games under 500 in March Madness. That's NIT. That's everything. I'm 25-27. So that's 2 games under 500. Add in the VIG, and I'm having to lose in March Madness. Again, tell you when I win, tell you when I lose. And when it comes this late in the season, just like with college football, when we got to the bowl games, got to the playoffs, I use my power ratings because the betting syndicates I partner with don't really hit these sides and totals all that often. And it's served me well. But again, I always like to be transparent. Now, with that said, here's where we're sitting with March Madness. Favorites are 48-16 straight up. So favorites have won 75% of the games. ATS favorites are 56%. That's 36-28. So the favorites have outperformed the betting market. Now, that happened early on. Remember, the first round and the second round through 32, they were 29-19. That was 61%. Is what the favorites were doing. In fact, favorites of 6 or more points were 64%. So that was costing the books money heading into the Elite Eight, heading into the Sweet 16. And what have we seen in the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16? Well, we've seen the dogs come back to life, and favorites went 7-9 during that run. So it's a perfect example. The reason I bring that up is the markets do correct themselves when they're efficient. And that's what we're seeing now with March Madness. This late in the season, we should be as efficient as possible. Well, the totals are already there. And here's the proof. Because we've had, right now, in the big dance, we've had 64 games, okay? Over-unders, 32 overs, 31 unders, and a push. That's exactly 50%. You can't do a better job in a short sample size than that. We know the market's so efficient, like in NFL, that if you look over the last 5,000 games, you're going to get 2,500 favorites, 2,500 dogs, 2,500 overs, 2,500 unders, right around there to where you can't blindly bet either and be profitable. That is a reflection of the bookmaker doing their job correctly. And that's what we're looking at here. Now, the reason Illinois is favored is this. Heading into March Madness, the rankings had Connecticut as the number 7th team in the country, and they had Illinois as the number 13th team in the country. Power rating wise, mine included, had the opposite. We had Connecticut below Illinois. Most of us had Illinois in our top 10, Connecticut out of our top 10. As of today, with all the adjustments that we've made throughout March Madness, I have Illinois as the 7th best team. So that means 6 other teams would be favored over Illinois. And I have Connecticut as the 12th best team. So 11 other teams would be favored over Connecticut. I make my true line about 2. Now, here's the problem. We already have a game that's been played, Kelly. And according to that line, back in November, Connecticut was a 4.5-point favorite. Well, we know that Connecticut has about a 2.75 home field advantage, home court advantage. So you factor that in on a neutral, that line meant Connecticut would be about a 1.5, 1.75 favorite versus Illinois on a neutral. So what has changed since November 28th to where now it's flipped, not just that 1.5 points, but now we're looking at Illinois as high as a 2.5 point favorite. So you're looking at a 4-point adjustment in favor of Illinois. We got to determine, is that warranted? Now, here's the key. Can Illinois keep Connecticut held defensively? Meaning the strong side for Illinois has been their offense. Their top 10 offense, barely top 25 defense. Connecticut's the opposite. Top 5 defense, barely top 50 offense. So Illinois' job is going to be holding Connecticut to under 41%. When they've done that, they're 20-0. So if Illinois, their key is defense because their weakness is defense. Remember, they're top 5, 6 in offense, barely top 25 in defense. So when their defense shows up, this team doesn't lose. The problem I'm having is their defense, has been showing up. Now, are they going to regress in this game? I'm not too sure. I more think so the Connecticut side on the defense may get a little regression because the way they were able to hold Duke, who shoots those threes, and were able to defend that perimeter, I'm not sure they're going to be able to do that again. And remember, Illinois relies heavily on the three-pointer. Almost 50% of their attempts come from behind the three-point line. It's all going to come down to defense, which defense shows up. And that's where I do think there may be some value on this dog, Kelly, because Connecticut does have the better defense. And because the narrative is now, they got that miracle win against Duke. Believe me, I had Duke to get to the Final Four. I had Duke on the money line on Sunday. So that hurt me more than most people watching this, believe me, financially. But we got to wipe the slate clean. And that recency bias is why the money came in sitting there with Illinois as the favorite. Again, at 3, I would have been all over Connecticut already. At Pick'em, I would have been on Illinois. It's going to come down to where this number settles for me, Kelly. I will tell you this. They have adjusted that total. I like the over, and it's square because the public's betting it over. And I know everything points to the under except the number because I believe they've already adjusted it. The fact that it's sitting at 139.5, they opened at 140.5, and the true line I think should have been about 144. But the narrative forces the adjustment towards the under. And I think they may have over-adjusted now down to that 139 from that 140.5. So where it sits right now, based on my power ratings, I have to bet over. As my best bet for this game, I'm going to give you the over as my bet. As far as the sign goes, I'm going to let the line determine my wager, and we'll see. Can I get 3 on Connecticut, or can I get pick 'em on Illinois, which probably isn't going to happen on the Illinois side, and I'll have to decide whether to do the money line. But again, it's a tough game because of all that reasoning. But the Illinois is the rightful favorite based on power ratings, and like Marco said, Vegas got to back up their numbers with cash. It's not an opinion like the AP. If they make a mistake, it's going to cost them a lot of money. So I trust them more as well. Illinois should be favored. How big of a favorite's the key? Plus money, got to look to the Duke +3 side. That's what I'm hoping to get, Kel.
Yeah, I'm hoping for UConn to get that win for me too. And Splash, I do need them. I think I have to go UConn. And if they upset, small underdog Illinois, then I can save Arizona for the national championship. I know there's almost 100 other people in the contest that have the exact same combination as me, and they're going to want to do the same thing. Marco, if you were sitting on in my chair right now and you had UConn and Arizona left, would you use UConn this weekend, then Arizona? VR's already shaking his head. No, let me let Marco answer first and see what Marco would do, and then I'll let VR come back and rebuttal.
Here, with those, it's last man standing, correct? So
yeah, it reverts back. So let me give you an example. If UConn beats Illinois, I move, Arizona loses. There's a very small select few people that have Michigan, UConn as their last 2. I'm guessing that then the people with Michigan would win. So it is kind of tricky, but it does. If you pick a losing pick or you don't have a pick to use, it's the exact same thing. So I could use Arizona this week, right? They beat Michigan. Then if Illinois wins, it doesn't matter anyway. Does that make sense? Like you've got to pick the right combination in the correct order. And looking at the odds, don't think it's going to be UConn, right? Arizona's the odds-on favorite right now, albeit 5-10 cents depending on the book. Then Michigan, then Illinois, then UConn.
Yeah, unfortunately, with the 2 teams that you have left, Kelly, you have to do it the way you just said, in my opinion, because it's the only way that I can see you having have a shot to have both teams live.
Right. And
if
then
you use
at
it,
worst case, they both win, and then I have to split the pot. Versus if I go Arizona, then UConn, I have a feeling VR is going to argue, well, then you can just hedge.
Yeah. But if UConn does, if Arizona wins and UConn doesn't get there, you have no team for the for the championship game. And that's the bigger concern. And then you have to ask, and if you do get UConn there, then you got to ask UConn to beat, a better team. They got a better chance. If you're doing it strictly mathematically, with the two teams you have left, you have a better chance of UConn advancing based on the lines in this round, and then take your chance with Arizona getting through Michigan. That's just based on the numbers.
And I agree with that. And that's where my initial logic goes. VR, then my gambling brain says, well, I want to win. And if you want to win and you're not in the best position, right? So there's 99 of us that have that have Arizona and Connecticut. There's like 32 that have Michigan, Connecticut. There's like 26 that have Michigan, Illinois. And then I think there's even less that have Arizona, Illinois, right? So I guess my overall question is, do you gamble here or do you play to split the pot possibly?
You have Arizona, Illinois?
I have Illinois. I'm sorry. I have UConn, Arizona, and I can play them in either or if they both lose. I mean, they're both underdogs, right? They're both 2-point underdogs in these games. They're essentially coin flips, in my opinion. But UConn would be a bigger underdog to either Arizona or Michigan.
Arizona would be a favorite in the championship game against either team.
Yeah. Yes. I'm not the brightest guy in the world, so I don't know how to figure out all these contest stuff. But here's what I can tell you. If I'm holding an Arizona ticket, I have the best team in the country right now. Like, regardless that they're a dog against Michigan, they're the number one team. That's why if you look at the future odds, they're probably lower than Michigan's, because power rating wise, they're number one. I know KenPom now has Michigan above. That's recency bias. Arizona is the number one team in the country. And that's coming from someone that was so high on Duke as far as power ratings go. And again, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just looking at the data. And right now where it sits, again, you can make a case for an argument for Michigan because they are very close. I mean, Michigan has the second toughest strength of schedule, or Arizona the fourth. Like, these are very comparable teams. But I just think you have the A side with Arizona, and it's just the narrative of Michigan and what we saw last. This team just not just beating teams, but crushing teams, and they're crushing the sexier teams. Like, Arizona beat Arkansas and Purdue. No one gives a shit about Arkansas and Purdue. Michigan's beating up on Tennessee, Alabama, and they're winning those games by 30 points. And I think that's what you're looking at right here. That's why this price. But I'm not sure how the contest plays out. But if I have Arizona, if they somehow win the national championship, you're sitting good, I'd be comfortable with that. I like the Arizona side. And I know it's slow. I know the public's
I like the Arizona side too. And we've talked about this, whether on Bet On It or Last Call, just roll over the money line. They were the odds on favorite on Saturday, plus 250. Now they're plus 165. So it is what it is. Let's get into that game, because I think this is going to be I think this is going to be the best game we've seen all of March. I think this is going to come down to the wire as well. We're starting to see Michigan 2s popping up here, Marco, on the odds logic screen. Total 157.5. Do you agree with VR that Arizona is the best team in the country?
Well, everybody goes like VR just said, the recency bias. And the recency bias is Michigan is just absolutely rolling right now. Now, you look at this Michigan team, and I talked about this several times. When they faced Duke back in late February, there was so much hype and build up to that game because you generally don't get two powerhouses from different conferences meet in February like that. And, a lot of people said this could be the national championship preview. A lot of people felt that way. And Duke handled them, beat them in that game. And it was like it put Michigan in a little bit of a funk. Even though they were winning their games, they were only on a 1-8 against the spread skid, all right, prior to covering and winning, covering their last three games. Now, here's what people see. They see a Michigan team that in 4 tournament games has scored 90 or more points in all 4 games. Now, in fairness, okay, they faced a Howard team in the first game that was totally outmanned. Then they faced the St. Louis team. Now, St. Louis was number 23 in defense, but they played in the Atlantic 10. How tough is the Atlantic 10? So that number's a little skewed. Then they faced Alabama. We talked about all the problems that Alabama had defensively, 228. And then they faced Tennessee, another team, not bad defensively, 40, they were 42nd out of the SEC, but, they like to play fast as well. And that was just played right into the hands of Michigan. I think this is a little bit too much of an overreaction. Now, on the flip side to that, you look at Michigan. They can play defense. They're number 8 in the country defensively. Both teams are top 10 teams in offense. Arizona comes in here on a 13-game winning streak. Arizona, what I like about them is they can play both ways. They can put you into a half-court game and be very comfortable doing so, or they can play a quicker-paced game as well. But I will tell you, if I'm setting my game plan for playing Michigan, I don't want to get into a fast-paced game. I want to play a half-court game. And with that said, is going to sway me from the side here to the total. And I'm looking at this 157.5. And I think that the public is going to want to bet the over in this game. All they're going to see is 90-plus 4 straight games for Michigan, and that's what they're going to want here. I think this is kind of, even if you want to call it a correlated parlay, so I'm leaning to Arizona. And if I'm leaning to Arizona, I'm leaning to the slower pace. I'm going to go under the 157.5 here. That's where I'm looking at this game. That is Arizona's best chance to win this game against Michigan. And the problem with Michigan having all those blowouts is what happens whenever you're suddenly in a tight game. At least Arizona has done that and had those tight games, in there. And you go back to the Utah State game. That was a 12-point victory, okay, final score. It was a 4-point game late. The reason Arizona advanced is there was a huge discrepancy at the foul line in that game, 39-11 in foul attempts, free throw attempts, I should say. That was the difference in that game, but they were able to handle a tight game. That's an edge. If this one's tight late, Arizona's already had to do it. I'll go ahead and take the under 157.5 and give you the little lean on Arizona.
All right, VR, your power ratings have helped me a ton handicapping over the last 6 months of college basketball season. You said right now, as it stands, Arizona is your number 1.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And believe it or not, Michigan's my number 4. I'm just being honest. I don't have any control over this. We punch in the data and whatever it spits out, that's what I read. And again, it's not perfect, obviously, but it's profitable. By laying 11 to win 10, it's been profitable. It's been profitable in NFL. It's been profitable in college football. It's profitable in college basketball. And it's profitable in NBA and NHL where we sit. So again, it's not always perfect, but as of right now, Kel, Arizona should be at least a 1.5 point favorite in this game. And I have the total about 1.5 points lower. And when I add in that they're playing at Lucas Oil Stadium, where, it's a place I'm sure they're not used to. The sight lines are supposed to be a little tougher. At least that's what I'm hearing from handicappers out there. So that may bode well for Marco's under, which also reflects the power rating. But I like Arizona, man. I gotta trust what my numbers tell me. And right now, again, they're the 2 best teams. They truly are. And it's who's going to show up on Saturday. We could go over the data and the stats forever. They're 1 and 2 in offense, 1 and 2 in defense. Like, they're right next to each other. And when that's the case, when you're talking a true coin flip game, we're talking a true coin flip right now. Let me just keep it real. Forget it. Let me just do it like this. Bottom line, we're talking coin flip, right? I'm getting plus 110 on a coin flip. I'll take that all day. I could find right now plus 110 on the screen at Westgate on a coin flip. I got to place that bet. Win or lose, I got to place that bet. Now, if I'm wrong and this isn't a coin flip game, I'm confident it is. Just listening to people who I respect and I trust and seeing the difficulty they're having of determining who should be the 1-point favorite, that tells me that this is a coin flip type of game. And in a coin flip, you want plus money. You don't want to be laying money like we do in the Super Bowl, where people are laying 107, 110 on a coin flip. You want to be getting plus 107, plus 110. Doesn't mean you're going to win your bet, but it does mean you're placing a good bet. And that's what we're trying to do. So Arizona plus 110 money line is my best bet for this game on the show.
All right, Marco.
Kelly, one thing I want to say, Ace mentioned Lucas Oil Stadium where we're playing. And again, this is a football field, not a basketball arena. So it is different with the sight lines. But I want to bring out one other thing that I don't know if a lot of people are considering it. When you talk about the Final Four, every team's going to get their fans there, okay? Everybody's going to come and support their teams. Now, what I want to point out, though, is proximity. Obviously, Illinois and Michigan are closer. And each team's going to get
Indiana.
A 25.
You mean Illinois, the university, is closer to Indiana. I thought
right.
Lucas Oil's in Indiana. Yep, got it. Sorry.
Okay. And
cut that out, Dan.
Each team gets their, allotment of tickets. But here's the thing. Even though 25% tickets are going to be distributed, it's going to be 50% in favor of Michigan and Illinois, because they are going to root for each other to have a Big Ten championship game. So if you're factoring, that might be part of the reason why we talked about why is Illinois favored over, Connecticut and that, because it's a neutral field, but maybe just a little bit of bias that the crowd base is going to be pro Big Ten, and that's Michigan and Illinois.
I cannot imagine going to a Final Four game and cheering for another Big 12 team. But to each their own, it is what it is. Some of you guys are just weirdo conference homers. Anyway, that being said, real quick round table. I got to go Arizona to be my national champion. The real reality is I think this is the team that I've said they've been all season long, the Big 12 top to bottom. Albeit there is 2 Big 10 teams in the Final Four, but is top to bottom the best conference for college basketball this year. We've seen the SEC with their early exits and pitfalls, but I think this Big 12 team is going to beat Michigan and become your 2026 national champion. VR, are we in agreement here, or do you like another team?
No, I got to go with Arizona. And again, it sounds square, Kel, but I just look at the ratings. When we go into the tournament, Duke was at the top. That's who I was backing. Duke's out of there now. Arizona's the last team standing as far as, top of the list. So, yeah, going to go square. Let's go Arizona. If you could get plus money on Arizona, I think that's pretty good.
All right, Marco, are you going for the Arizona trifecta?
Well, Kelly, I'm going to agree with you and disagree with you. I'm going to agree with you on Arizona, but I'm going to disagree with you that the Big 12 was the best conference. The best conference was the Big 10. They had the best showing in the tournament. They still have 2 teams, in the Final Four. It's kind of hard to argue that wasn't the better conference this year. In cliche, we say it all the time in football, like in the AFC championship game or the NFC championship game, we say this is the Super Bowl, not the actual Super Bowl, the winner of that one. I think the winner of the Michigan-Arizona game is going to be your national champion. But I think the one matchup that might give Michigan problem if they advance is if it is that, Homer Conference final. If it's Michigan and Illinois, just the fact of playing somebody that you play on a regular basis creates a whole different dynamic. And then, of course, once we get to Monday, Kelly, we don't care who actually wins. We care about who wins by how many. That's what will determine that on Monday. So definitely look at that. And Kelly, don't forget, we got some specials we got to tell everybody about.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to let Marco handle that because I don't have my Slack open right now because I'm already on to football season, guys. Let's just be real. I was working on my closing, as Marco said that, because I wanted to say, hey, guess what? We're done. We're outie until August. But Marco, let everybody know what we got going on over at wagertalk.com.
All right. Hey, last week, I want to thank you guys for both me and Ace. You took advantage of that yearly special that we did with the bonus 25% off. Well, we're going to run it back for you. Okay. You can get VR or me, use ACE25 or Marco25 coupon code. You can end up getting 365 days of everything. You get every play we release. You get the free steam rooms with Ace. You get the blackjack package as well. You get to learn how to play blackjack. That'll get you kicked out of the casinos and make the money before they kick you out. And with me, you get every play that I release. You get all the specials like the Triple Crown races, the Kentucky Derby prep races. You'll get everything I release. Just go to our page, grab the full season, which is on sale for $14.95 or something, I believe. But if you use the coupon code, it brings it down to under $1,100, and that comes out to $3 a day. It's cheaper than a cup of coffee. And if you can't go long term, you want to go short term, grab that 3-day, buy 3 days for $69. And you'll get 3 bonus days free. So check that out over at Wager Talk. And don't forget, I will have a Marco's Deli available for you. That'll be up Friday night. Check that out. And we're working on keeping the deli open. We're going to be doing the deli through the NBA playoffs and the hockey playoffs. And we're going to incorporate some baseball in as well. You guys want to eat through the next 3 months, so I got to keep the deli open. So thanks for the support on that.
You guys are welcome. I basically did not give Marco the option. I said the deli is crushing. It stays open. Maybe I'll give him July off. VR, we're done on Last Call. Last Call is now going to be Total Bases Saturday edition. Last Call Total Bases. But you will be still doing some steam room stuff for your clients, as well as some Wager Talk insiders, and occasionally free for those here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. What do you have going on between now and when we come back for football season?
Yep. And every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, I do Wager Talk Today each and every morning at 9 a.m. our time, sharing as much as I can. And the slow time is coming up, but it's not really the slow time, Kel. It seems like bettors are a little burnt out once the Final Four is over, but that's really where it kicks in for the serious bettors, because we have baseball now. With baseball, NBA every single day, and the playoffs just around the corner, like there is opportunity, especially once everybody starts to relax. That's where you find a lot of inefficiencies. So I'll have my UFC package up. We'll have the Final Four for you. Trying to confirm a 5%, but haven't gotten there yet. And of course, the Steam sheet is up and available each and every day for only $19. And it gets a premium play, usually a 4%, which usually costs $25 by itself. But I continue to add as much actionable information throughout the day in all the markets I have access to. So check that out as well. And the Steamer will be Saturdays, where we go over whatever we have on that day, which this week will be the Final Four on Saturday.
Awesome stuff. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us here all season long on Bet On It. We'll be back for the AFC NFC Championship AFC NFC preview shows, as well as some college football preview shows right here on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. We hope you guys have a great summer, and until next football season, let's bet on it.